Hello, you guys. So, our lesson is about the nervous system. Let me start by just reminding you that the nervous system is basically made up of two parts, which is the central nervous system, and this makes the brain, and the spinal cord. They make the central nervous system. And you see all of those nerves in red lines, they are branching from the spinal cord, and some of them are branching from the brain because they are in the head. All of those nerves, they make the peripheral nervous system. We say peripheral because they are branching from the central. Okay? They are just like not the main road, they are the side road. So let's start by just discussing the functions or one of the jobs of the nervous system, which is to receive or to get, we mean to the brain, information or messages from sensory organs. When we say sensory organs, we mean parts of the five senses. For example, the eye, the tongue, ears, skin and nose, all of these parts of the five senses, we call them sensory organs. And these sensory organs send messages to the brain so that you can discover everything that is around you. So what is the nervous system? Well, it is like a highway along which your brain sends messages and receives messages about what is happening around your body. And this highway, this nervous system, is made up of billions of nerves. So what are nerves? Actually, if you look here, this is a picture that shows how a nerve looks like. And you see all of those red signs here. They're showing you how nervous messages travel in nerves in an electrical way. They are super duper fast. So the two parts of the nervous system, which are, the first one is called the central nervous system, or we call it CNS. If you take the C and the N and the S, they make CNS. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. And the peripheral nervous system, if you take the P and the N and the S, they will make P and S. Peripheral nervous system is made up of the five sense organs and the nerves. Now, later on, we were going to discuss how the nerves, not all of the nerves are the same. Some nerves are sensory nerves because they are related to our five sensory organs, and they send messages to the brain. And there are another kind of nerves called the motor nerves, and they send messages from the brain to your muscles so you can move, because motor comes from movement. Anyways, again, the parts of the central of the nervous system, the first part, which is the central nervous system, has the brain and the spinal cord. The brain is the part that makes all of the decisions. Some of the things that the brain does are voluntary actions, and some are involuntary. The voluntary actions are all of the things that you can control, like moving, talking, walking, etc. And the involuntary actions are the things that you don't even think about it. They just happen automatically in your body without you even thinking about it. For example, your heart beating, your body temperature, how the food moves and is pushed inside your digestive system, or how the blood flows in your blood vessels. All of these things are involuntary. You don't even think about it. They just happen automatically because they are controlled directly by the brain. And all of those messages that need to reach your body, for example, movement and walking or talking, those messages are sent through the spinal cord to the rest of your body parts. Now, the peripheral nervous system, which is the PNS, it is a network of nerves, and the brain messages are delivered, or they are sent to the spinal cord and then to these nerves. And most of these nerves are branched from the spinal cord because, some of them are located or found in the head. And they send messages to the brain and from the brain for the brain to take all of the decisions regarding your body. So the central nervous system, which is made up of the brain and the spinal cord, you can see here that the brain is protected by the skull, and the spinal cord is protected by your vertebrae or the spine or the backbone, because they are very soft parts and they need protection because they are super important. Now the brain, it's basically the main organ or the main part of the nervous system, and it weighs almost like 3 pounds. That's almost 1.3 kilograms. It's protected by the skull, and it has different parts, and each one of these parts have a different job. For example, this is the main part of the brain, and this is where all of your thinking, memory, imagination, problem solving skills, all of those things happen in this main big part of the brain. And you see this lower part, it looks like a ball. This part is the part of the brain that controls all of your voluntary actions, like walking, sitting, running, etc. And it controls your balance. And you see this little part here, this little guy. This is called the brainstem, and it controls everything that is involuntary, like your heart beating, your temperature, pushing the food in your digestive system and stuff. So this big part, it's called the cerebrum. This middle part, it's called the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Okay, so this human brain, our brain, it is constantly or always dealing with hundreds of messages from the world around you and from your body, and telling your body what to do. It gets the messages from your senses like seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, and even moving. So these messages travel from nerve cells all over your body. Now, the central nervous system, the second part, is the spinal cord. And it's a very important part because this spinal cord connects your brain to all of the nerves in the body. So if the message needs to go from the brain to, let's say, your arm, so that you can lift your arm up or down, this message needs to pass from the brain to the spinal cord, and then it goes to your arm. So the spinal cord is very important because it connects the brain to the nerves in the whole body. And the nerves branch off from this spinal cord to different parts of your body, for example, your arms and legs. And it is protected by the backbone, which is right in the middle of your back. So if you see all of those lines here, this is the network of nerves that make the peripheral nervous system. It is made up of millions of nerves that connect the brain and the spinal cord to the rest of the body. Now, the peripheral nervous system, it's made up of all of the nerves. And remember, there are two kinds of nerves. Some nerves are sensory nerves. For example, they take a message from your hand, because we have skin. They get a message from the skin, which is a sensory part, to the spinal cord, and then to your brain, and you think, oh, this feels hot or smooth or rough. So this nerve that sends a message up to the spinal cord and then to the brain, it sends a message to the brain. This is called a sensory nerve. But when the brain sends a message when the message starts from the brain to the spinal cord, to the nerve in your arm, so your arm can move. This is a motion or a movement. That's why this is another kind of a nerve called the motor nerve. Okay, so these nerves, they are found all over your body, and sometimes a lot of nerves can join together and they make bundles of nerves or a group of nerves. So our nervous system is responsible for making sure that all of the automatic things that your body needs to do keep you going, like breathing or digesting food, etc. And they continue working smoothly without you having to think about it, because it's really very hard if you should keep thinking about like breathe in, breathe out, or start digesting food in the stomach and the digestive system all the time, at the same time as you're thinking about your schoolwork or you're eating, or let's say watching TV. You cannot do all of these things all together. That's why some of the actions that happen in your body are involuntary, or they are directly controlled by the brain. So some of the important questions here in this lesson is, what is the main organ of the nervous system? Yes, it is the brain. And what makes up the central nervous system, which is CNS? Yes, it is the brain and the spinal cord. And what makes up the PNS, or the peripheral nervous system? Yes, it's the nerves that are spread all over the body. So our nervous system needs sensory information. It's the message that will go to the central nervous system. And the sensory means that it is sent, the information is sent, it's coming from all over your senses, like touch, vision, hearing, taste, smell. And the brain sends messages to motor nerves. So the message goes from the brain through motor nerves to get the muscles to move the body. So the message goes from the brain to the muscles of the body. So here are some of the sensory receptors. They are things that get information to the brain, like touch, pain, heat, cold, pressure, smell, and taste. And some of the sensory organs, we have discussed this before, they are parts of the five senses: eyes and ears and nose and skin and tongue. Now, this is called a reflex action, which happens sometimes. You move away from certain things without you even thinking about it. For example, if you touch something that is really hot, then this is a message, a sensory message, because this is your sense of touch, right? So the sensory message will go from your skin up to the spinal cord. This is a cross section of the spinal cord. This is inside your back, okay? So the message will go to the spinal cord, and then the spinal cord will send a message directly and super quickly in a motor nerve to send a message to this muscle so you can pull your arm up quickly without you even thinking about it. This means that this message does not reach the brain. But when you pull your hand up, then there is a message that will be sent to the brain, and oh, this is really hot. So this is called reflex action. So some of the things that can make your body do some changes. For example, when your skin senses cold, this is a message to the brain that will send a message back to your body to make goosebumps, to help you warm up. Also, when you smell something like good food, this is something that will make you feel more hungry, and it will make your appetite get bigger to eat. Or, for example, when your skin senses pain from an insect bite, for example, then the brain will send a message to the blood so that it can rush to the scene, so that it can, clot the blood. So these are sensory receptors, and these are some of the brain decisions. Thank you so much for listening.